Welcome to the Boomer Briefing Podcast. This is an episode focused on the conversations shaping the accounting profession. Today, we're going to be talking specifically about our operations circle. Jim and I just wrapped up our operations circle meeting this February, and we wanted to highlight what were some of the topics that members really wanted to discuss and what were some of the topics on our agenda. I know the first meeting of every circle for every year, we really use it as an opportunity to highlight the trends for the year that we believe are relevant to our circle members. And it's not surprising that AI was one of those trends, or AI kind of being infused through various aspects in the firm. So we certainly talk through AI, maybe how business models are evolving, and how the role of operational leaders is certainly not becoming less complicated. And so how operational leaders are positioning themselves in relationship to these trends, to those changes that are happening so rapidly in our firms and in the profession. So Jim, from your perspective, what were some of the highlights of the conversations you heard from the members?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me here. I would start with where you left off, AI. I think it's a standing discussion in every one of our circle meetings is people want to hear what others are doing in those use cases, so that, if it applies to their firm's circumstance, they can do something similar, but probably more importantly to spark those light bulbs of other use cases that might apply closer to my situation. So that certainly was a part of our discussion as well. We also had a pretty healthy discussion around resource planning, and moving resource management to being more strategic and beyond just being scheduling. And a big part of this was, we have access to we've had data, but we have tools and technology and AI that can get to that data and turn it into insights. So making decisions that are data driven around resources, and how do we change our technology and our process to move our resource management to a higher, more strategic level is certainly another area. Our group has had questions around just operation ratios within the firm. So, for example, how many HR professionals or how many team members does one HR professional support? And so we kind of did a real-time polling, gathered information, and came up with some rough estimates. It certainly prompted more questions in terms of, are we measuring apples to apples? But I think we got pretty close. So that was a great discussion and something people have been asking for a while. We also talked a lot about dashboards and KPIs, but specifically around how we get away from the billable hour. And I think that is coming up left and right in every circle as well. And then the other one that we had quite a lengthy discussion about is just change management. I mean, the pace of change is not slowing down and change is not stopping. And we had a little debate over, what we can do about change fatigue and whether pausing or slowing down is an option or not. Mm-hmm. I told the group, if we pause, we're going to get passed by. And so we have to figure out how we intentionally and proactively manage that change to minimize the amount of fatigue. And a big part of that is focusing on the individuals and making them part of the change rather than feeling like they are a victim where change is happening to them. which for any of us is exhausting and increases that level of fatigue. So there were several other discussion topics, but I would say those were kind of the key ones.
Yeah. Some of the key topics we discussed in our room, and we have the operation circle split into two groups based on firm size. We found that has kind of resulted in better tailored conversation. So in our room, one of the topics we focused on was structuring for growth. Most firms look ahead and know that growth is in their future of some sort. There's not a lot of conversations on how are we possibly going to grow, because there's a lot of avenues for growth right now in most firms. But how are we structuring our organization to properly support that growth? So as we win more of the type of work that we want to win, serving the types of clients that we want to serve, how are we arranged structurally to be able to both support that growth from a client perspective, but also support the growth and the development of our team members, so they're continually improving? So one firm walked through their strategy on exactly how they're doing that. It'd be challenging for me to unpack that for you right now, but they're using a pod-based approach that actually gets multiple levels within the firm working cohesively around not an industry group, but a type of client. For example, this one firm was really structuring around how to properly work with entrepreneurs across all different industries, which I thought was a really interesting perspective of kind of the client type and not industry type. Another key topic we discussed, and this one probably won't surprise you, was around accountability. How do we drive more accountability in the firm, both at the partner level, but throughout? And how do we incentivize that accountability? How do we tie that to performance evaluations and ultimately career paths and growth? And so just like in your group, Jim, we had a lot of other conversations as well. But if you're listening to this video and any of this sounds interesting to you, we would ask you go to boomer.com, click on our services tab. You will see the operations circle right underneath that. Please click on that. You can read all about our operations circle, even view a couple of videos of members talking about the benefits they've received. And then you'll simply see an apply now button that you can click on, fill out a form. And one of our solutions advisors would love to speak with you to see if this is in fact the right community for you. So hope to see you at a future meeting, and thanks for listening.